Welcome in, everybody, to After the Game Indiana basketball. Today, of course, with Joe Hillman. Indiana up in East Lansing, trying to get back onto the winning side after the debacle last week with the suspensions and an opportunity to pick up a big win, a road win, and a win over a ranked team. And bringing Joe Hillman. Joe, this game started out, boy, it looked like a fist fight. It was one of those old-fashioned Big Ten games, but man, they called that crap technical or a double foul on Cop, that's Indiana. I knew it right there. I'm like, oh man, here we go. Foul troubles are going to start, and here we go.
Problem is the refs have gotten so touchy, and it's just crazy. I mean, that's just who cares? Play on, guys. Let's go. Now, if you watch it, Cop hits, Cop hits the guy first. I mean, that's the way it was. And the other guy but that was nothing. I mean, who cares? And then why, when you have a rebounding thing, why was that? I get it was a foul on Geronimo. He tackled the guy, or they kind of pulled down. Why isn't that just a 1-and-1? Why is that a 2 shots in the ball out of bounds, and yet a guy gets a T then for taunting, and that's just 2 shots, but not the ball out of bounds. The Michigan State guy getting a taunting foul for clapping his hands. Come on. I mean,
it's a brave new world, Joe. It's a brave new world.
It's sad. It really makes the game. College basketball is getting really, really hard to watch with all of the stuff that goes to the monitor. The 30-second shot clock is ruining college basketball. And I'll argue with anybody about that. Why have 30 seconds? It's too quick. We don't have enough good players that can get their own shot at the end of shot clocks. You shoot the ball way too quick with way too much pressure all the time. And, oh, by the way, if you get a rebound, it goes to 20. Why? Nobody's scoring more points. I guarantee you scores are going down. Indiana can't even score 65. So anybody that wants to say, oh, it's better for the game to have a 30-second shot, it's worse for the game in college basketball because you don't have enough guys that can create their own shot out the dribble at end of shot clock situations. And with 30 seconds, that's a lot of times it happens. I mean, it's just college basketball has gotten bad.
It's hard to watch. I mean, the teams you played on, everything you guys did was based on making your own decisions. Man, you look out there, and those guys just don't seem to have that experience. The offense just doesn't have that flow. Guys kind of don't know what they're doing, and some passes were into the middle that with 3 guys. It looked like Brett Favre trying to get a pass with triple coverage. I'm like, what are they doing? It just there's no intention. Everything seems forced. And you mentioned we were talking before shots that inappropriate shots or ill-timed shots. The Trey Galloway way too early in the shot clock, and he's not a perimeter shooter. And so you got guys taking shots that really shouldn't be taking shots, especially at wrong times.
No, I think that's and it is a new system under a new coach type of deal. But there's a lot of stagnant movement. There's no movement offensively a lot of times. I mean, you get a lot of times just guy getting the ball, 4 guys standing, and again, it goes back to that 30-second shot clock. Now a guy has to shoot, but Indiana's got to start. I think there's got to be more accountability, and players need to start getting on other players. And I talked to you guys about a possession. Indiana's down 10, 54-44, go on a 7-0 run and get the ball back. Trace Jackson-Davis has just completed a 3-point play, and we come down and Galloway, who cannot make a 3-point shot, shoots one with 18 seconds to go on the shot clock. And that is a terrible shot. I don't care if he was open. It doesn't matter. If you are not a 3-point shooter, you're open because the other team wants you open. That ball has to go inside. That possession is an absolute must for Race Thompson or Davis to get the ball and make them make a play defensively, not to just settle for a wide open bad 3. I mean, again, those are things that shot selection, pass selection, until that changes, Indiana's not going to beat good teams, well, especially on the road. I mean, they're going to struggle on the road. but Indiana doesn't have guys that can shoot. That's the problem. Our shooters are Miller Kopp and Parker Stewart, and they can't shoot. I mean, they were 2 for 12 or 2 for 10 from three today, and they're 2 for 12 from the field. I mean, the one bright spot today, Tamar Bates looked like he is going to be a very good player. He's got a good touch. He's got a good stroke. And to me, Tamar Bates needs to play above Parker Stewart. Every single minute that Parker Stewart plays, Tamar Bates should play.
Yeah, he hit those back-to-back threes, looked really smooth. Even the shot that he missed, it was a good-looking shot.
Yeah.
It just didn't go down. That's all it was.
Yeah, he was 4 for 4 from the line. I mean, Parker Stewart, why is he a great shooter? He's 1 for 6 from the line today. 1 for 6. I mean, I can drop kick balls in 1 for 6. I mean, there's got to be a different deal where the one thing that I have not seen that I thought Mike Woodson would do as a coach would be changing a lineup when you had a bad effort. And I haven't seen that. I just thought because Coach Knight would, hey, look, we're losing with this guy and he's not playing well. Let's give another guy a chance. Now, to be fair, we don't see practice every day. But I mean, Galloway is a perfect example of a guy that plays really hard. He kind of knows his role. He just needs to settle down a little bit. He's not a scorer. But his play is contagious. And now, you get another guy that can do that. Tamar Bates needs to just show up and be more consistent because talent-wise, he's going to be a very, very good player. So we'll see going forward if he gets more minutes with the starters. So because Thompson Davis, I mean, they scored 30 points. I mean, they scored half our points. And really, I didn't think Trace Jackson Davis played all that well today as far as offensively. Now he got to the line and made his free throws, but
early on he was 4 of 10. Nobody finished there, but he seemed to pick it up a little bit toward the end. But yeah, early on he was shooting 40, not getting the shots down, which that's a good percentage, but not when you're playing 2 feet from the basket.
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit with his back to the basket right now. I almost like to see Indiana switch Thompson and Davis and put Thompson more on the block. Because Davis is a really tough matchup for a big guy to guard off the dribble. He's got that little spin move down, but he just struggles scoring over people. And so when you get some size, like he had to play against today, and even against Northwestern, he's played against size. He struggles to score when he doesn't have a direct line to the basket, and he has to kind of shoot that little hook, or he doesn't really have a little fadeaway jump shot. And I thought he would really work on that coming into this year, but he is effective because he is a tough guy to guard off the dribble. And so I'd like to see him potentially maybe get the ball at the high post a little more and drive. And Race Thompson's got a little bit better back to the basket game than him. But those two guys give you effort and they play hard every single night. So they just got to find a couple other guys that can be more consistent, I think.
And then early on, the foul shooting was just absurdly disproportionate and Michigan State ended up taking 28 shots on the day, free throws. Guess how many Indiana ended up taking? 27.
Well, Indiana shot a lot of free throws in the last 3 or 4 minutes too.
Still only hit 16 of them. They get outscored.
Right. I mean, at one point, I think at one point, Michigan State was 23 for 25, and Indiana was like 10 for 17 or 10 for 18. But I mean, those are big plays when you're missing front ends of 1-on-1s. And I mean, if you go back and look, Race Thompson actually missed another one. He got a freebie because of the lane violation. Yep. So, but it still goes back to a more efficient offensive play going into what are we doing? This cannot be everybody gets to shoot when anybody's open. We don't have good enough shooters. I mean, and we've been saying this now at Indiana for 5 or 6 years. When are we going to recruit a kid that can shoot? I mean, there was never a time in Bob Knight's tenure at Indiana where there wasn't a couple of guys on a team that could make shots. I mean, we don't make shots. It's hard to watch. It really is from outside.
That's been the case, unfortunately, at Indiana for a few years now.
Yeah,
the
5 or 6
shooting
years.
and the outside shooting. Hopefully that's set to change with young guys like Tamar Bates on the team now, and you've got guys like Jalen Hood-Schifino that are coming next year, and CJ Gunn, who has been just lighting it up this year. He has just catapulted his offensive play. I know he's a senior, but you talk about guys that are coming. I think he scored 31 points in the game last night. He's big fourth-time quarter guy, but that's the future. Indiana now still has to focus on this season because they still have a chance to make the tournament. This was, first of all, this was the game no one really expected them to win. Not, I mean, other than outside of fans, they're on the road at number 17, Michigan State, who had lost back-to-back games. You don't think that they need to win and wanted to win?
Yeah.
And Izzo is up there. And so this was going to be tough to begin with. Sure. They had their chances, and you got to give Michigan State credit. They played pretty damn good defense as well. They clogged everything up, man. I'm like, they smothered you today.
They make it hard. There's no doubt about it. They always play well at home. But they do a very good job of pushing like those big guys. You know, you're used to catching the ball in a certain spot. They push you a foot or 2 foot, beyond that. And they deny very well into the post. And Michigan State just makes it they take things away from you that you like to do. And so now you've got to find a way to make an extra pass or a pass fake or shot fake instead of just taking. I mean, a couple times today we just dribbled in there and we just kind of looked like there's almost like a handoff to a guy that was sliding over to help. You just go, what is going on here? And the game got emotional, and that's always going to favor the home team when the game gets kind of pushing and shoving because the crowd gets into it. And trust me, the refs, they hear that crowd and there's an emotional deal. And that's where you got to have somebody to settle people down a little bit and get away from all the talk and the chatter and focus and just grind and, make it hard for the other team, be hard to play against. And I just don't think offensively we're very hard to play against.
That's one of the things. Why today I was watching a series of plays, and I'm like, Michigan State defensively was forcing Indiana. They were dictating Indiana's offense instead of Indiana dictating their offense. And I saw them do it on a possession after possession. And then on the opposite end, I saw at least twice Indiana get beat back down the floor for easy gimme buckets by Michigan State, which that happens, but it can't happen in a game like this.
Well, especially when you talk about, because that's Michigan State's forte. I mean, they'd love to get that one big guy running down the middle of the floor. And they do a good job of pushing it up. But, going back to that, where we get a little stagnant offensively, now you become easy to guard. And when a team makes it tough defensively, the worst thing you can do is stand, because now you're just playing right into their hands. And we've got to get some more movement, some more, just cutting through. Even if you just cut through to do nothing, at least don't stand in a spot and go. But again, I don't know the offense and how it's supposed to be played, but Michigan State does do a nice job of moving the ball, high pick and roll there. But when they do that high pick and roll, they got action going on the other side. And so now those defenders that are guarding, you've got to pay attention. Where Indiana runs a pick and roll, 3 guys are standing. Well, those 3D are just watching the ball, and it makes it kind of easier to defend. But again, we just got to do a better job of making shots, and I mean, we're getting some open looks, and really Tamar Bates was the only guy that hit an open shot from outside today at all. I think Xavier Johnson hit one early in the game, but he's got to learn to, and he has to be on the floor. I mean, he's got to learn to play without fouling. I mean, he's such a key guy now without Rob Finney playing. Because of the injury, that Xavier Johnson needs to play 33, 34 minutes and not get into foul trouble. I know I hear all the Indiana fans say, oh, that was such a, the refs are this, the refs are that. Well, you have to understand that fouling a guy out there 35 feet, why for his third foul? Why? Back up.
No.
Guys,
that was his fourth foul.
Oh, his fourth. That's right. His fourth. I mean,
that was just he was begging for that foul.
Yeah, why? I mean, there's no point of guarding the guy that closely out there 40 feet away from the basket. So that's just, you got to play a little smarter, and especially him, because he without Finney, we're short there, and he does play hard. I will give that kid, he plays tough, and he plays hard, and he's got some fight in him, and you can obviously tell he doesn't like to lose. So he's got to stay on the floor for Indiana to be successful. And come Tuesday night. Is that when do they play? They play Wisconsin on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I believe
I
so.
mean that now becomes almost they got to win that game. I mean that's a game where they're going to need the crowd.
Well, and Wisconsin just lost to Rutgers today.
Yeah, I watched that game too, and Rutgers played well. Rutgers is a tough team right now. Rutgers is, I mean, they're 9-5 or 10-5 in the conference. I mean, they're playing well, but it was a surprise because Wisconsin usually plays very well at home, and they did tonight. So yeah, they'll be ready to play. But Wisconsin's just another team that's going to force you to play offensively. And if you get to stand in, now you're just going to make it even more tough because they do a very good job of what Michigan State does. They push you off the block. They make you play away from what you like to do, and they'll force they'll force you to go left when you like to go right, and they rebound the basketball very well. So that's going to be it'll probably be another kind of a grinder game, low scoring game, and Indiana needs to be able to make some shots, but keep getting that ball inside to your two guys that can create things going to the basket. They're just tough matchups, those two guys.
I'm not asking what it would have been like under Bob Knight, but as a former player, what did you expect from this team today, especially the guys that played that were amongst those that were suspended? Integrating back with their team, they let them down, but so you got to get past all that stuff. But put this comment up. Xavier, he was getting, and it was chippy all around. And I don't have a problem with somebody being chippy and gritty, but you've got to have common sense. That foul was not common sense. If you're chirping your mouth, it's not common sense, especially if you have 3 fouls. Shut up and play. So I was a little surprised by. Indiana seemed to be a little more chippier today, which is, again, I don't have a problem with, but it's like they were trying to respond to that in a different way, and I didn't.
Well, yeah, I just think the game was emotional, and it kind of was emotional for 30 minutes of the game, 35 minutes of the game, and that's where you just got to have somebody say, "Hey guys, knock it off. Let's quit yapping. Let's just go play." And my favorite line to guys that are always chirping and talking out there is, man, if you're as good as talking as if you're as good as playing as you are talking, you'd be an All-American. Why don't you just shut up and play? And I mean, it's just crazy. And the refs nowadays, they don't get in there. Steve Bardo even mentioned it on the telecast today. Refs used to get out there and say, "Hey guys, knock it off. All right, this is it. We're not dealing with this anymore." Instead of the double technical, the refs need to get in there and take a little bit of control and say, "Hey, knock it off. This is it. Or you guys are just going to be done." And that usually cleans it up. But you give a double technical, and then both sides are complaining. It's just a cop out. It's just an easy way out for the ref. But no, I figured Indiana would have some real fight today. They knew it was going to be a tough environment going in, so you got to kind of ratchet it up, and I think they knew that. The intensity was there. They started off fine. Foul trouble happened, and now Johnson and another starter cop don't play much of the second half or the first half. And it just always seemed like once they got down 6-8 points, now it was a struggle because now you're always playing from behind, and we get right there, never get over the top, and then boom, another little quick 6-7 run by Michigan State. Now it's an uphill battle again. So Indiana is just when you don't shoot the ball very well, it is hard to win on the road. It just is. I mean, go back to the Northwestern game. That's a game. I don't care if 5 guys are out. That's a game Indiana probably should have won. They are just a better players than Northwestern, but we didn't make shots. And college basketball is so guard oriented with guys in the threes and making shots that it's hard to win without being a successful team from the 3-point line. 5 for 21 today. I mean, that's tough.
What is this? This team still has an opportunity to have solid wins. They've got games like against Wisconsin coming up next week. They have to travel to Ohio State. That game moved from Saturday to Monday now, so Indiana gets a few more days to practice.
Yeah, why did that happen, by the way?
You know what? I'm sure it has to do with the conference scheduling and rescheduling of stuff. John must have the answer.
It was because they had to cancel their game with Iowa because of weather a few weeks ago.
Oh, so they're going to make that up on. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, Indiana. I mean, here's the thing though. Indiana's got some opportunities, but they also have a tough road. I mean, this is. I mean, the game against Wisconsin at home is going to be. That's going to be a battle.
Because they're coming off of a loss now. They're coming off of a loss now, and so they're going to be aggravated.
And then you're going to go to Ohio State, and then you're going to play. I think it's Rutgers, or no, not. You still got to play Rutgers and at Purdue. I mean, Indiana could
lose. You have to go on the road to Minnesota. You have to go on the road to Minnesota,
and that's not going to be easy. So, it's just every game now, and they put themselves in a position to be in a great spot, but now they've played themselves right into a position where they don't want to be. And so what does this team do? Does this team kind of, tuck their head and weep and go away, or do they fight and scratch and claw? I think they got some fighters, it would be, I would just be shocked if this team doesn't show up on Tuesday.
We've seen them play well at Wisconsin. I mean, they played as well in the first half as they could play. And Wisconsin's not going to forget that, but neither is Indiana. And whatever worked, they need to try to make that happen. Of course, hitting shots is always the basis of all that, which has been the genesis of what we've talked about today. They have to hit shots. Of course, they hopefully will be more comfortable at home at Simon Scott Assembly Hall, but they have got to come together. I think they have to come together as a team. I still don't know that this team is a team yet. And again, I'm not in practice, but I just don't know that that's there.
Well, nobody really knows what happened up in Chicago or up at Evanston at Northwestern.
I don't think it was what most people think. I can say that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. And again, and there could be a couple guys, and I'm not saying this because I know anything. But if I'm Trace Jackson Davis and I'm Race Thompson, I'm pissed. I am mad at these guys. They are hurting our chances to get to the NCAA tournament. So, how did that all play out? I don't know, and we may never know about that. But those are things where either a team comes together or it divides them. And so, again, nobody really knows what happened, but I mean, they're young kids. They make mistakes. I'm glad what Mike Woodson did. I think there was so many people that I heard from, why didn't you just punish them in practice and make them run and da-da-da-da? I said, well, you're not teaching anybody a lesson then. And some of this is about life lessons. And, nowadays, though, okay, I punish the guy, I make him run. Well, if I make him run too much, then he claims physical and mental abuse. And you are walking such a fine line now as a coach, because if you discipline players, they're going to leave. And this transfer rule, the NCAA is ruining things by this transfer rule. And I hear all these blowhards like Jay Billis saying, "Oh, it's great. It's great for basketball." Why should a guy be able to just leave because he's not happy? Because he doesn't, the coach got on him or pushed him or he sat him down for a game, and now he just has to leave and go wherever he wants to go, and without sitting out. So now throw in NIL. And now you got guys, come play with us because you're going to get paid money. Come on down here. You're just creating a turnstile deal where guys are just going to come and go, and it's not good for programs. It just isn't. Now, I get everybody says, well, it's better for the kid if a coach leaves. Okay, but is this helping college basketball when guys can just leave whenever they want? It really handcuffs a coach on teaching life lessons. It handcuffs a coach on being disciplined. And in America today, we don't have enough discipline to tell people no. Look at what's going on. It's crept into college basketball, college sports, where I guarantee you there's people calling right now and probably calling Tamar Bates and saying, "Hey man, we recruited you. You're not getting to play very much. You should come with us." And then you got a player calling him and saying, "Hey man, you need to come with us. You're not getting to play very much, and we can pay you to come on down here." I mean, you're going to create recruiting like that, and I just think that's bad. It's hard to create a program that's got any continuity.
Exactly. And Indiana has been a program going back through the years based on that. Of course, this is a different age. I understand that, but still, you still have to have the guys on your program, which Anthony Leals and Trey Galloway's that are going to be there for years, but you need guys that are being getting better each season, developed and all of that. But you still have to have the Tamar Bates, Jalen Hood-Shafinos that come in and all those guys.
Yeah, sure.
And I think Indiana is they're still a year away from that happening. Mike Whitson got here with that new staff, and he's not, the portal's new for everybody, exceptionally new for him and his staff. So they had to put that together, and they weren't able to get exactly the pieces they needed. I mean, Michael Durr, hopefully, but he is not really panned out he's done some things, but we didn't see him today. I'm not surprised. He was one of the five. Christian Lander, another one. You didn't see him today, one of the five. But
Christian Lander, unfortunately for Christian Lander, he's just not physically ready. Whoever talked him into leaving high school early, I mean, absolutely the biggest mistake of all time history. The good thing is I don't think he lost a year of eligibility, so he's still considered only a freshman. He's still a freshman. Okay, he potentially is going to get, he's going to be all right. Geronimo's going to get better. Bates is going to get better. Galloway's going to get better. I mean, but Leal is going to get better. But but what you can't have is if you don't play your first year or your second year or whatnot, guys are just leaving. I mean, that ruins it for a program to build for guys to get better, because everybody's always going to blame the coach. Oh, the coach is this, the coach is that, or now we had a lot of guys transfer at Indiana when I played, and Bob Knight had a lot of guys transfer, but a lot of that was guys just wanted to play more. Okay, that's fine. But also there was guys that just didn't like it. They just didn't like the how thick skin you had to be to play. And it wasn't for everybody. And us as players that stayed and did it, we knew that. And it was okay if somebody just said, hey, this isn't for me. But that stuff is just gone now. There is none of that, because if a guy doesn't play, he's going to leave. I have no idea what's going on down there, but would it shock you if Christian Lander left after the end of the year? No.
But he's not the only one either. And
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Leal left, because that's the way things are today.
I don't see Anthony leaving. I think Anthony.
Well, I hope not.
Got a place. I think he has a place, and I think he knows that. But
I'm just saying because he's not playing.
Christian doesn't know that he has a place. But I think that he knows he has a place somewhere at some point. I don't know that Christian knows that, because Jalen Hood-Shafino is coming in and he's a 5-star point guard, 6'5" point guard.
Yeah, but you know what? We used to recruit those guys all the time. You always recruit. Indiana's supposed to be recruiting the best guys year in and year out. And as you get older, you know what? You're just better than freshmen. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, you're 22, 23 years old against an 18-year-old. I mean, you're going to probably be better than that guy, and you're still going to be a part of the team. So, you can't worry about who's coming in. And now if the coach just says, hey, look, I just don't see you playing. But then you got to grit your teeth and say, no, I'll show you. What do I need to get better at? And that's building a program that, goes. And here's another example of the transfer rule. What if you're Jackson Davis or Race Thompson, and you just go, you know what? I'm done dealing with these guys. I'm out of here. They get to leave.
And that was potentially happened last year, and Mike Woodson talked him into staying.
Well, no, I get it, but going forward now, if this event, and I'm not saying it did, but if this event occurred on Tuesday or Monday night or whenever it happened, that there's got to be a way to say, okay, hey, look, we got to come together, we got to work through this, or we're going to get rid of the guys that don't want to do it the right way. But yet now it's so easy for the guys that are doing it the right way to say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm out of here. And I just don't think that's a good precedent for college sports.
No, and hopefully the coaching staff assures those guys of what is going to be happening going forward, so everyone knows what's happening with the program. And I would imagine that's happening. But going forward now for this season, Indiana has to regroup, and they have to make the NCAA. Well, have to make it. They have to do some things to make this NCAA tournament, but I think that they not missing the tournament this year would be as bad as missing in any of the last 5 years in a row, because this
for sure
was a team that had already played its way into it, and now they're messing with that bubble. Now they're playing with that bubble, and they put themselves in that position to be there, and to get out of that, you have to do the things that you have to do. And today they were not able to do that.
Right.
Whether it's
end of January, they're in. They had played well enough for 3 months. I mean, they're in. Now, did they start listening to that after they beat Purdue? Did they start listening to everybody pat them on the back and tell them how great they were? Kind of looked like it the way they showed up against Michigan at home the next game. But, they've now put themselves in a position where now they got pressure on them. And now they have to perform because of the rest of the schedule is pretty darn tough. I mean, the easiest game left is maybe Rutgers at home. I mean, I don't know. That's going to be a tough game. Maybe Minnesota on the road. I mean,
Minnesota on the road would be easier than Rutgers at home, I think.
No, yeah. I mean, I mean, they could. What is there? Is there 6 games left? I mean, they play Penn State. They play Penn State at home. That would be the easiest game left. But they need to win probably 3 or 4 of these games. And some of that's just going to be, we get back to what goes on the floor.
Trace Jackson-Davis had 5 rebounds today, Joe. 5.
Yeah, I mean, but they didn't get out rebounded that bad. I mean, Race Thompson really cleared up the boards. I mean, they didn't get beat that bad on the boards.
And as a matter of fact, they won the offensive battle. Last I've looked, it was 10-5. But for Race Thompson, Trace Jackson-Davis, you expect him to have more than 5 rebounds in a game that was so physical and played around the basket.
I'm never going to give, Trace Jackson-Davis plays hard every night. Offensively, he's a little limited. I know everybody talks about how, he's an All-American. He's a little limited offensively because he doesn't really have a back-to-the-basket game. It's all going to the hoop. Race Thompson plays hard. Never say anything about that. But somebody's got to get with guys and again, holding guys accountable. Those aren't good shots that you're taking. We can get some of these shots with 3 or 4 seconds on the shot clock. You don't need to do it when there's 19, 20 on the shot clock. And that's just maturing as a player and as a team, knowing what you're trying to accomplish and get done offensively. I think there's still who's going to play or who's going to be our shooters, again, there's just a lot of standing. And we bring in 2 guys, Miller Kopp and Parker Stewart. And what did everybody say? Oh, man, these guys can really shoot. These guys are going to be great for us. They're going to shoot. They're going to shoot. They haven't made shots, and they haven't a few games. And when they do, we're pretty good because there needs to be additional scores. You know what you're going to get from Davis and Thompson. Xavier Johnson gives you some stuff when he can stay on the floor. But, you need him to be an 8 to 10, 11-point scorer. But somebody with Kopp and Stewart, they need to be able to score 9, 10 points a game just by making a couple shots. And we haven't been very consistent at those 2 positions this year. And that's what's hurt Indiana in these games on the road and in these games that we're losing to tough teams. We just don't get much from the perimeter.
And I know you mentioned this earlier that you'd like to see Tamar Bates in that spot.
Well, based off of today, yeah. I mean, Tamar Bates has got some skill.
I'm just surprised that we haven't seen more changes before the suspensions. I mean,
it wasn't. I agree with you on that.
Just to shake it up, if nothing else.
Well, I am a little surprised that the lineup has been pretty much the same until what happened up in Northwestern the whole year. That's just kind of mind-boggling to me. But again, we don't see practice every single day, so I don't know how well Tamar Bates performs in practice. Maybe he's not playing. I don't know. But today he showed that he's got some physical ability to, one, he looks like he's going to make shots when he shoots it. He's got an ability to get to the basket, and he's got a nice touch. I mean, he's got a nice stroke. So when a guy has a nice stroke, they at least look like they're going in. Trey Galloway, for example, he doesn't have a very good stroke. I mean, his shot is not – you wouldn't go teach somebody to shoot the ball like Trey Galloway shoots the ball. So, nothing against him. He plays hard, and he's a contagious player that brings an energy to the floor. And he needs to be out there, but he doesn't need to be a scorer. He can. Trey Galloway can affect the game by defensively making plays, getting the ball, driving the hole, creating stuff for people, and getting a steal and a dunk, and all of a sudden he's got 6 or 7 points, 3 or 4 rebounds, a couple assists, and there you go. That is a perfect role for him. I don't know. It's just like it's almost there are no roles of okay, hey, this guy's going to do this and this guy's going to do this, and now we're going to put all those roles together. We're going to be a team. It just sometimes seems to me it's just 5 guys out there, kind of okay. I'm open. I'm shooting it. Now the other thing though, let's talk about. I mean, Rob Fennessy's been gone. That hurts Indiana. I mean, him not being in the lineup these last 4 or 5 games, it hurts him. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's good defensively. He had a great game against Purdue, but he is a stabilizing guy. And even if he was struggling in some games, he at least can get out there and calm things down and handle the ball and direct some stuff. So, missing him in these games has been tough because I think if he's able to play up at Northwestern, that's a game we probably win even with the 5 guys sitting.
Absolutely. And before I forget, don't forget Joe Hillman at Trust Wealth Strategies, Hillman at trustwealth.com. Tell us a little bit about that, Joe.
Yeah, we're an RA firm, and we really work with people on retirement income and how to create retirement income, but we do it through phases, in the accumulation phase, pre-retirement, and then retirement to death, and we work with people on how to make sure that they don't ever run out of money. And as my dad used to say all the time, aren't you just trying to get people to run out of money and breath at the same time? Because that'd be the goal.
Absolutely.
No, I'm just joking. But
if you set up an appointment with Joe, I'll tell you, I'll get we'll get something to you in some form or fashion. If you're in Indiana, we'll get you a dinner somewhere or something. So somebody tell me you heard it on here on Indiana Sports Beat, and we'll make sure we get you taken care of. But make sure you reach out to Joe there at Trust Wealth Strategies, Hillman at twealth.com. So going forward, man, this Indiana, they've got some games that they've got to win, and they're a tough stretch. Have you seen enough from this team that they can do what they need to do to get to the tournament, the NCAA tournament?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've played too many good minutes this year where, for example, Wisconsin first half. I mean, they've got to be able to sustain and play 40 minutes. I think that's one of the biggest things because they've got the ability, they've got talent, they've got good inside players, and they do play. They do get after it defensively. There is no doubt about that. They do a good job on that. They just, to me, shot selection becomes a major factor here going down the next 6 games and in the Big Ten tournament. Where, okay, just because you're open doesn't mean you shoot it unless there's 3 or 4 or 5 seconds on the shot clock. I get that. Like Parker Stewart had to take a shot today. Michigan State did a really nice job taking things away. He swung out, and there's 3 or 4 seconds on the shot clock, and he had to shoot it. I mean, that's going to happen. But I think there needs to be a better understanding of let's keep jamming this thing inside of these 2 big guys because I haven't seen anybody that can guard these guys yet. I mean, they're going to get to the basket. They're going to get fouled. No, they're not going to make every shot, but I'll take my chances with those 2 guys inside.
Absolutely. Man, Joe, I cannot thank you enough. As always, anytime you're on, it's always a blast because you know it. You've been there and cannot wait to do it again. Have a good evening, brother. I always appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. We just got to get everybody out there on Tuesday night. That's going to be a huge game. So Indiana fans show up and
are you coming down?
I don't know yet. I got to figure that out. I gotta see what I got going on. Those 9:00 games are tough though, but we need a good crowd and people, fans out there listening and whatnot. It does make a massive difference when you guys are there and alive, and it's the energy that you produce. The players feed off of that. So get out there because you know what? It's always the next game, and if you get a win in that next game, that can build momentum.
Absolutely. Also, don't forget We're brought to you, of course, by Southern Stone Restaurant in Bloomington at Patterson and Rogers, where each Monday night at 7:05 you can find Inside Indiana Basketball with Don Fisher and Mike Woodson at Southern Stone Restaurant. Looking forward to that. Until then, or until Monday morning, I guess, I'll be back with you on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thanks to Joe. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without y'all, there's no reason to be here. John, the producer, as well. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.